welcome to Ping and Amy's adventures, excellent adventures, that is, in true crime. To my other side, because I can never figure out the cameras backwards. So over here, no, over here, whatever. The other, yep, this way. That's Ping. Say hi,
Hello.
Ping.
Hey, how's it going?
Sorry it took me so long to find you.
Oh, that's all right. It's confusing when the cameras are reversed.
It is. And you guys, I got some humidity here going on tonight, so I do want a hairbrush. I apologize. It's just, it's Florida. If you've ever been here, if you know, you know. We're going to deal. So, got a lot of cool things on the agenda tonight. It was fun when my face froze like that for a second. But in the meantime, Ping, I haven't seen you since Thursday. How's life? How's blah, 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 blah. How is everything?
It's been a little stressful. It's been a busy week, even though it was my birthday yesterday. It's just been one of those busy weeks and everything going on. And it's like every time you think you got something sorted, another phone call happens. And it's just one of those weeks.
I hear you. Yeah, I can't, for some reason this week, I can't keep track of like what day it is. Like and it feels like I have all this time like to get something done, and then all of a sudden I'll look at the calendar and think, oh my God, that's tomorrow. Or that had to be done by the end of August. That's almost here.
I can't believe summer in the US is almost over.
Oh yeah, the kids have been in school. This is their second week of school.
I can't believe it. Like, it only felt like maybe a month ago that you guys were in your spring, like storm season. And then now you guys are going to be in hurricane season before you know it.
Oh, I know. That's like, well, we should talk about that because you have some interesting things that you could add and share. But, you know, we didn't really have anything last hurricane season, and that's always kind of frightening. It's
like the big one is coming if you don't get the one the year before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's one of those things. I've been trying to think of let's see what has been going on in my life. My kids are turning more into teenagers every day. And I will tell you this. You know, I think I've told you maybe once or twice. Like I have this friend that has a 2.5-year-old who I am in love with. And it's so cool because he's learning how to talk. And that's like something that I didn't go through with my stepchildren because Christian was talking, not complete sentences, but he was starting to talk when I met him. So they were never like, you know, nonverbal. It was like the coolest thing. Then I saw him today and his dad had taken him to get a haircut and didn't consult with mom. And he has like this mullet. He looks like Joe Dirt. And he's just trying to talk and he just looks like this little like meth head hillbilly now. So.
Oh my God, I bet mom was happy.
Oh, mom is not happy. I mean, he literally has, do you remember Rat Tails?
Yeah, from the 90s, right?
Yeah, he has one of those in the back. That's how bad the mullet is. And dad thinks it's hilarious. And mom
Who gave him this haircut? Was it an actual place or dad just got his beard trimmer out?
Dad just got bored.
Mum is taking him to Supercuts tomorrow.
It's so bad. It's like giving your, like that haircut is like giving your child like a lion cut or something. Like you just don't do that. Like, you know what I mean?
It's like giving a little girl like an undercut at 4. Like, you're like, what? No.
No. Very, very weird. Very weird. Oh my gosh. So, we have some good stories for you tonight. I know that Ping has been working hard on one, and I'm going to go. Hey, Sensible Crime, good to see you. I'm going to go ahead and share. I had them up. I don't know why they're not here, but I'm going to go put those up there. So, Ping, these are in no particular order, really. So I'll just kind of scroll through them for visuals for you. But
that's all right.
If you want to go ahead and tell us about this crazy story out of Auckland that you found.
No worries. I'm going to be blind for a second, so I won't be able to see anyone because I have to go to my notes. But
Yeah.
let's jump to this page. I was about to say, it says a leading economist, and I'm like, wait, that's not the right thing.
Are you going to give us like a futures report?
Right. I was like, what's that got to do with storage auctions? So apparently last week, a family in Auckland had purchased a storage locker at auction. And it looks like late last week or over the weekend, they had those contents from the storage locker taken to their home. Once it got to their home, they discovered that the contents contained human remains, and not just one set of human remains. It's looking like maybe 3 people. It's just awful. I can't imagine how that works. But one of the neighbors was saying, when I see the luggage out there, I thought, that's a lot of luggage. Whatever happened, they must have been diced up. The way they carried the bodies into the hearse, it was just a small distance handling the remains into the hearse. Young fellow across the road saw it. He was working on his car. He saw he was saying he saw the reaction to the smell. Apparently, they could smell it across the road, like the smell of the remains, which kind of says to me that maybe this is not. At first, I thought maybe it was historical, like it was like a 50-year-old thing where someone had, stored a body away or something. But if it smells that bad, it's probably pretty recent. There's still. I spoke to the journalist who wrote for News Hub. If I can grab his name. Apparently, no, I can't. Actually, yes, I can. I can grab it from my email because I spoke to him.
Yeah, people are talking about how frightening this is, and maybe this will be a cold case solved. It's horrifying for the people that bought the storage unit, but equally, it's going to be equally horrifying for relatives of the people that were in the storage unit. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So the police were saying yesterday that they don't want to give any more information out until they can notify next of kin of the victims, and
Right.
they are using the word homicide, which I mean,
Oh wow.
it kind of makes sense, but like to come out that early and say it's homicide, there must be some sort of like aggravating factor there that they can already tell. The journalist I spoke to very briefly, I don't want to mishandle this or whatever. Michael Mora was the guy who wrote the article for News Hub, and he's the one I quickly spoke to yesterday. He basically said that he didn't have any additional details at that point, but he was working on gathering more details, and he was going to put out a new article. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping he'll have that up as soon as possible.
Yeah. It Tracy I was saying they say that it's a pungent smell and it lingers. Yeah, it could be there for years and years and years and years. I would think that anytime you find a body in a suitcase, that it's going to be a homicide, don't you think? I don't think 3 people naturally die and are placed in suitcases.
I mean, I can think up some scenarios where that might happen, where you had a person die in a home, they didn't want to report it, so they hid the body away for years. They put it into a storage
Well,
locker, and then they passed away. They sell the storage locker, and then someone gets it.
right, but what aren't we? I mean, it's speculative, but aren't we talking about like multiple bodies?
Oh yeah, this is
Yeah,
different. This is like 3 different people. This is
yeah,
not just one person or something. So it's very sad. I mean, I would be very frightened if I lived in that area, because you don't know. I mean, the first thing the police are probably doing is looking for who owned that storage locker,
yeah.
or who had access to that storage locker.
Absolutely. Yeah, so the chat is asking about the gray thing on the screen. I believe that is
A U-Haul.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, it's like a U-Haul. Let's see what else we got going on here. Let's see.
That's from American Storage Wars show.
So that's kind of how these people acquired the unit. Not obviously not through Storage Wars, but through a storage unit auction, correct? Like they list abandoned
just like
units
the
on
show.
the paper. Yeah, yeah. I've always thought that would be cool. I don't think I'd want to find a dead body. Let's see. Yeah, so this is just the other house is crime scene. That's got to be incredibly stressful.
So they said 3 hearses showed up to retrieve the bodies. Now, in my experience, they normally call a hearse for each what they think is each
Mhm.
person. They
Right.
normally try and call one for each set of remains. They don't normally just lump people in the same hearse. That's not what they do. I mean, I've seen that before sometimes, but
Sure.
not normally. So that's a pretty big indication. If the other guy is saying 3 bodies as well, 3 hearses show up, we'll see. But who the next question is, who are these people? Were they someone family members that this person murdered, or were they random people that like a serial killer?
Right. Yeah. Yes, it is red like wine again. This is Auckland, New Zealand.
For
And
once, it's not Florida.
no, no, but Florida's over here. Like, hold my beer. We'll be back tomorrow.
We're just taking a day off today. New Zealand can have it.
I'm sure I could Google something right now that would be absolutely insane, and we'd just be like, oh, Florida. Let's
So,
see what.
Amy, you said something to me yesterday. You're like, this probably happens a lot. And I went searching, and one body is pretty common, actually. You know, people have found a single body or single remains in a storage locker quite often. Multiple bodies is actually quite rare. It doesn't happen all the time, and um, I think I could only find like 3 or 4 worldwide where that had happened.
Oh wow!
So this is a pretty sort of rare event.
And the pyramids in Egypt don't count, right?
Wow, depends. Are we talking historical or this century? Like
It's a joke. Historical.
it's way historical.
Way historical. Yeah. Yeah, because I'm always like, when we look at stories, I'm like, the way my brain works is always trying to figure out like another link, another angle. And so yeah, when we were talking yesterday, I was like, I wonder like how much this happens. And I did see a couple, well, actually I saw quite a few. I was surprised about finding bodies in a storage unit, or finding a body. But you're right. It's not very common to find multiple. It'd be interesting to find out if they're, like you said, like if they're familial or if they are random and cannot be connected. And if they're random and can't be connected, and they don't have the person, I mean, they will. Let me ask you this. So, like here, you have to give ID and everything when you get a storage unit. Is it the same procedure in like New Zealand and Australia? Is it pretty just straight across the board? Like you give your driver's license and all that?
Yeah, I have a storage locker here in Australia, and we have to give ID and a credit card
Mhm.
or something like that. So I'm guessing they're going to track down this guy pretty soon. Now, this is what I was thinking yesterday. If I'm a person who has murdered a few people and I'm like, I don't want to keep him in my home because they smell bad, I'm going to go get a storage locker and I'm going to put him there. Um, that's not really the type of thing you're like, I'm not going to pay that this month and I'm going to let it go to auction. So
No.
something weird has happened there. I wonder if the person
Yeah.
who killed them has passed away or left the country or something,
Or they're in custody for something else.
or that too. But that you could probably organize someone to pay that bill. You know, if you're like, hey mate, there's something in there I don't want other people to find. Can you pay the $50 on that this month?
Mhm. No, yeah, I mean, no, yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you could, but I would think that um, before the safest way for somebody to continue to get away with something is the least amount of people knowing about it, right?
Well,
So,
maybe you would pay it up like a year at a time, especially if it's something like that.
mhm.
You know, because if you are a murderer or a serial killer, you're like, maybe I'll get caught one day and I don't want them to find the other bodies. So let me pay like 3 years on this thing.
Yeah. Or maybe it's something like this. My grandma has a store, not my grandma, just a hypothetical. My grandma has a storage unit, and I want to hide something. So I'm like, hey, grandma, like maybe I don't even ask. Maybe I just swipe her storage unit keys and throw it in there.
Yeah, that's why I said before, maybe not who owned it, but who had access.
Access to it, yeah.
Yeah, but if it is a random person and not someone who is known to the victim, I mean, known to the owner of the storage locker, how are they going to identify next of kin for notification? That could take months or years.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Wonder. I'm trying to think. I've never had a storage unit, so I don't know. I know my friend Effie did because she she lives in Greece now, but her things, her furniture and stuff that she wanted to hold on to here is in a storage unit. She pays every month, and I'm her emergency person. Like if she dies, I get access to the storage unit. It's a weird situation, but I'm pretty sure I had to give a fingerprint. I'm pretty sure that the day that we went down there to load everything in and she got it, like she had to give her fingerprint and ID, and I had to give my fingerprint and ID.
I
Um,
have my car in storage in California, and
oh,
I didn't have to do that. I just had to show ID in my passport
don't you think that would be a good idea though?
to do a fingerprint
Yeah.
because so many people dump bodies in storage lockers or
Well,
meth labs.
well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of like nefarious things. If the storage lockers are rocking, the police might come knocking. I don't know.
Wear your gas mask and knock.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like you know, you people hide stolen merchandise. Um, documents they're not supposed to have. Like all kinds of things outside their house, and fingerprints would be good because
It revokes the idea of fake ID.
it does, and maybe I'm not trying to go like super high tech or anything on anybody and like up in somebody's business, but you know there are a lot of issues with storage units. They are tied to a lot of crimes, and it is not far fetched to go to the point where you're like, okay, not only do we take your prints when you rent the storage unit, but we're going to use like a some sort of like bioauthenticator. Like you're gonna have to use it like you're gonna have to use a touchpad.
Those
Which
things are coming anyway. Like that
um,
technology is getting so cheap now. I mean, you have
yes.
it in your phone.
Well, you have.
So
I know people that have them on their closets.
on
So
their closet, like in their home,
yeah.
like a safe room, or just they don't want their private address stolen.
um, because maybe that's where they keep their guns.
Their bodies.
They're dead, but yeah, and because basically that's where they keep their dead bodies. Yeah, they could be for panic rooms. They could be for valuables in your home. Like it's like a walk-in safe. So you have that little layer of protection. It could, people do have those. So, and honestly, when you go to the bank, sometimes you have to scan your fingerprint. They don't ask you all the time. It seems to be random, but I mean, why not at a storage unit? Because I sit here and I forgot to turn off my phone. I sit here and I think about so many cases where maybe a storage unit isn't an integral part of the case, but it is part of the case. And so, for instance, with Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, that's where they found all of Tylee and JJ's things was in the storage unit. Remember, it was
Right.
abandoned, and the guy called Nate Eaton and was like, "Hey, you might want to take a look at this." It's also where Chad and Lori were stored the back seats to Charles Vallow's Jeep, and which was the car that Tylee used to drive. So they had him on video there. You know what I'm saying? It's just like storage units are a place to secret things away, and if multiple people have access to it, that's a problem.
Definitely creates a contamination issue. You know, Amy, I was going to tell you before we came live and you did the titles.
Uh-huh.
I was gonna tell you to write, "Does Dexter live in New Zealand?" And
I've never seen that show. Do you
I
think I'd like
actually can't
it?
say I've seen it either, but I know
Oh,
about it.
really? I know what it is. I know what Dexter is. Um,
I'm not really a fan of shows about crime that are not real.
Me either. Oh, that's so weird. See, same pouch. Yeah, me either. It's got to be at least based on a true story, and then the nerd in me has to know the true story in order for me.
Right, same here because it otherwise it's like you're talking about imaginary dead people and I don't care. Like that's how I feel. I'm like, oh no, an actor died and was murdered. Who gives a shit?
I see imaginary dead people. Tracy L says, "Ping, we can't do car here in Nevada or my Sea-Doos, only outside storage. I wanted to store either my extra car or skis. Can't do
Yes. So if
that."
I took my car out now and cancelled my contract, I
Mhm.
wouldn't be allowed to do it anymore. They changed some rules at the storage place I'm at as well. Once my contract ends, I don't think I can keep it there, so I'm going to probably have to sell it. Because they don't want, I don't know, California is weird about secondhand cars and things like that. They don't want cars
Right.
being dumped and left there for years. And
Right.
so if I don't make it back in the next couple of years, I'm probably going to have to call my buddy to go take it and sell it.
Yeah, because they also have like emission standards and stuff. So like after don't they still have that out in
I'm
California?
pretty sure they have
Yeah.
like you have to get it smog tested and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I know when I used to like I mean I lived out there for a little bit, but when I used to go out there for business, it was always a pain because like like you'd get off the plane and you'd go to these rental car places and they'd have like a billion cars in the parking lot, but they'd say, "Oh, we can't rent you any of those because they're not legal to drive in California." Like they were getting ready to be put on a flatbed and like,
Yeah, they
you
take it
know,
across to like New York or something.
yeah, we're like they don't care. Like if it's got wheels, it's good. Yeah. So yeah. So Tracy says my buddy has a real panic room in his house. I mean, I don't have a panic room in my house. Our master bedroom has a separate alarm on it. It's not really a panic room. It's just a way that if someone were to get in the house or something, like everybody could go to the master bedroom and there's a separate thing that's going to alert. But yeah, panic rooms are kind of, I don't know, like when you were little, or maybe not even little, maybe it's just like a thing because I'm still fascinated by it. You know, when you see those like bomb shelters and stuff, like I always think that's like a really neat thing. I mean, I don't want to have to go in one. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to have to really hide from a bomb. I'm not trying to negate like people that live in terrible areas and war torn and but just the idea of like secret rooms I find fascinating.
Australia is like a really young country, and the threat of war has never really been here
Mm-hmm.
much. So we don't really have like 50-year-old bomb shelters or anything like that. There
Mm-hmm.
are some military ones along the coast and things like that, like where they used to put like the gun turrets and things in there.
Right.
But there's none just like, if you go out, 20 kilometers, you can go find some from the Second World War or something. They're just not here.
Sorry. Let me see if I can see this out loud. Unless I'm cracking myself up. Do you, do you remember the picture in the Brian Laundry case from the laundry's backyard where people thought there was a hand coming out of the
That was
ground?
funny. I For like one moment, I thought, well, maybe. And then I was like, wait a second. When would they have time to dig that, install the concrete, put in like all the bits and pieces? I was like, wait, hold on.
Oh my god. Sorry. I'm just like, I just remember that. Like, you're trying to follow this case, and like every page you go to, everywhere you go, there's this picture of people who have circled what they think is like, and they're like, and Oh my God, what's the mom's name? I can't ever remember her name. No,
There
I can't.
was a little bit of a weird video though. There was something there. I don't know what it was, but there was something there causing that confusion between people. I don't know if it was like a trowel or
It was like a
something.
stake coming up for the ground. They have a little garden, they had like a little garden box. But I mean, it was just Roberta Laundry. That's who it was. Yeah, Roberta's out there gardening. Christopher's standing there like pointing at a drone, and everybody thinks like Thing from the Adams family is coming up from a bunker under the ground that they built for Brian, and it was like,
I heard someone say she's slipping him a 20. I'm like, to go where? To go where?
sorry, hold on, hold on. Oh my gosh, hold on.
We killed Amy. I'm sorry, guys. I'll talk to you for a second.
You did kill me. Oh my gosh, I told you I'm like the tiniest bit under the weather today, and so. Oh my god, that made me laugh so hard. So what is he going to use the 20 for? It's not even a debit card. Like you could shop online and be like, drop my Amazon packages down the hole. But like, what's he going to do with $20? Order a pizza? Like that's
He's like, please lift the garden up and drop it below.
oh god, can't. Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, that whole thing. I don't even know how we got on that subject.
Knock on the flower pot.
Right? Oh my god, you have to like give a little warning before like you water because he's like,
Do you have to press a flower and that like lifts the garden bed up? It's like, once you press it, like it's just silly.
I don't know. Not 3 times. I just sang something and now we're gonna get a strike. So I have to change the song. Does it sound like anything else?
Make up random noise.
There we go. Oh my gosh. So speaking of thumbnails, what was it? Storage unit horror story or something? We also need to talk about Dr. Drano because I
It's not
stumbled.
someone who comes and fixes your sinks either.
Chicka chicka bow bow. Yeah, no. So we have, let's see, we have Dr. Emily Yu, and her name is like YUE is her first name, and then her last name is YU. So I don't know if it's UU. I don't. So, but she goes by Emily, so that's how I'm going to refer to her because I really don't know. But her and her husband are having some problems, obviously, when you hear stories like this. And he is claiming that he drinks like a hot lemonade type of drink in the morning, like I don't want to say like a nutrition drink, but you know how like some people drink like ACV, like apple cider vinegar in lemon juice and hot water in the morning to like start their day. And some people just drink like weird drinks in the morning, and he happens to drink something he calls like hot lemonade. And so he was claiming that he was getting sick, and he's not getting along with his wife, who happens to be a doctor. And so he put up a nanny cam, and he caught her putting Drano in his drink. Now, her attorneys are saying that this is so contrived that there's no way, and actually she's pouring something else in there, and you can't make it out, and he's just doing this to get custody of the kids, and all this. This happened. I'm going to pull it up in a minute. Red like wine again. I actually saw this come out August 5th. I just hadn't had the opportunity to talk about it. But what I have here tonight, like I could go and I'll show you the New York Post story. I'm not going to read it. But I do have the restraining order that he that he filed, and it tells a story. It's amazing because sometimes on these requests for restraining orders, there's not a whole lot of information. This reads like a Lifetime movie. It is crazy. So let me pull the New York Post article up first. And I was having a little bit of problems with this before we went live. I don't want notifications. Oh, and there's a player in the corner. We don't want that. How does that? I don't expect you guys to read it. The link's in the description of the video, but California doc's husband made up Drano poisoning story to get kids, lawyer says. So she was caught on a nanny cam allegedly pouring Drano into her husband's lemonade and was using the chemicals to unclog pipes. And the man fabricated the poisoning claim as part of a custody battle, according to her attorney. Okay. She has been released. She was arrested. Was released on bail. So this is an article from August 12th. But this started, I believe, on August 5th. So there's Emily. This is a still shot. I don't know if y'all can see it. Ping, 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 ping. Nope, you can't see it. Let's see. I can make it bigger.
If you say my name 3 times, I'll appear in your router.
Really?
No.
Because I needed you earlier. I was having the worst. Is that too big?
Might be a touch.
Okay, hold on. Oh, I don't even know. No, that would have got us in trouble. Did you see what that was?
I didn't, so it didn't happen.
Okay, good. So here she is. She's in her kitchen. This is on the 11th of July. And this is what he's claiming that she's pouring into his drink, his Drano. She's over by the table with a bottle of Drano.
Looks like tomato sauce or like ketchup.
Yeah, it's like a red bottle. The attorney says that what she's doing is pouring it into a cup to unclog the drain. I think the issue is that you've got her at the sink pouring, and then you got her over at the breakfast table pouring. And so then you have him. This is the husband, right? Mr. Chen, who is a radiologist. He goes over to the table and picks up the drink. So
Amy, maybe she did it and she was like, I'm going to pour it in there to dose it out for the sink. She put it down and he, half asleep, just walked in and grabbed it and was like, oh, breakfast. And she's like, he's probably going to be all right, and just went about her day.
Maybe, but I mean, apparently it happened on multiple occasions, and that's why he actually set up a nanny cam.
Wouldn't he be like, my lemonade's a little spicy today. Is there coriander or chili in this?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it just tastes like, you know what, all the time. And so he was just like, oh, it's just the nasty drink I drink in the morning. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know how he didn't taste it. If there was just like a little, like a touch in there. Not really
Maybe
sure.
she just didn't wash the glass out properly after dosing it out, and that's what he felt.
I know. We should give her tips.
Don't watch this show, you.
No, you. Yeah. Let's see. Tell me when this gets too big. Is that about right?
Seems okay.
How about that?
Both were good.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna use my arrow down button, which is not gonna work now because it's just how we roll. I don't know. What are we doing here? Okay. So this is The request for domestic violence restraining order filed. It was filed August 5th, okay, by Jack Chen. It's not, it's not redacted. And I just need to tell you guys, it does have their Newport Beach address up here and everything and their phone numbers. Here's how I feel about things, just so you guys know. It's not my job to redact things if they're public record. If I start redacting things, then anytime, anywhere I show a document, people are going to wonder if I've modified it. So if this bothers some people, I'm sorry, and I get it, but that's just my stance on it, and I'm always going to present it in the form that it was found or I receive it. So there you go. So they state who you want protection from. Emily, and Dr. Emily, Dr. Drano, she's 45. Check all that apply. You have a child or children together. They have two, Ryan Chen and Lauren Chen. Have you lived together as a family household or more than just roommates? Yes. Are you involved in any of the court cases? No. This is all the basic information. It says, give more details about the person if they were abusive on these days. Details can include what was said, done, or sent to you. Examples, text messages, emails, or pictures, or how often something happened. And the response is, I filed a police report on August 4th, 2022 with the Irvine Police Department, case number 22-09876. The respondent is currently in jail and her next court appearance is August 8th. So these are all see attached declaration. There's just like not anything to see here. Get to the juicy part with Dr. Emily. He's asking for an order not to abuse. No contact order, stay away order. He checks, stay away from me, my home, my job, each person in 8, my children's school or child care. And then there's another address listed where he doesn't want her. It's pretty much. This is interesting. I thank God I have never had to file one of these. But do you see where they have a section where if you're worried about someone harming your animals, that's an option on this form. So
that's very interesting. I've never seen that before.
Yeah. Yep. You may ask the court to protect your animals, your children's animals, or the person in number 2's animals. Yep. And then the breed and color. I think that's interesting. All right. So this is a very, very long filing. Let me just scroll down. They're asking if there's guns in the house or anything like that. That's where he's signing off with his lawyer. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So this is Jack Chen v. You. I don't know how to say that. I don't know. I'm not even going to try. So Emily Yu. And it says the complaint right here in bold. My wife poisoned me. I found out my wife, respondent Emily Yu, has poisoned me with Drano to try to kill me. On 3 separate occasions, I have video of her pouring Drano taken from out under our kitchen sink and pouring it to my lemonade. I drink it while it's hot. The first video is from July 11th, 2022, and the photos from that video of Emily poisoning me are attached. Please see Exhibit A. The second video is from July 18th, 2022, and the photos attached to Exhibit B. This video shows me taking a sip of my still hot lemonade, covering my cup with saran wrap, and then of Emily taking the Drano from under the sink, removing the covering to pour the Drano, and then placing the cellophane and putting the Drano back. So this is what he had done. He had poured his lemonade and put some saran wrap on top of it just to see if he was like crazy. And he also wanted a really good video of her doing this. He leaves the room. Dr. Emily goes over. She takes the saran wrap like off the top of the cup, pours the Drano in, puts the saran wrap back, and then lets him drink it. The third set of photos in Exhibit C include photos from a video from under the kitchen sink showing Emily putting the uncapped Drano under the sink and then poisoning me by pouring the Drano into my tea. I reported the poisonings on August 4th, 2022, which is now a case with the Orion Police Department. Emily is currently in jail. See the attached printout from Who's in Jail website. I do not know when Emily is subject to getting released or bailed out, but she called me to have me post bail and I refused. History of abuse. Emily and I started dating in 2011 and then married July 4th, 2012. We have 2 children from our marriage. After the children were born, I became concerned about Emily's behavior. Not only was she demanding of me that I give her massages, one time when I could not because I was sick, she stepped on my head until I did, and also began hiding money from me. Both Emily and I are doctors. I'm a radiologist, and Emily is a dermatologist. We rely on Emily's mother. Again, it looks like Yoquin Amy Gu to help us with the children. Emily and Amy both verbally and emotionally abuse me. Almost daily, I would be insulted by Amy, saying I act like a thug and I don't act like a man. And Emily would call me a effing asshole and other insults. Currently, she minimizes my existence by telling the children in front of me, tell him to do something for them without addressing me. She would have the children to tell me to do menial tasks for her, like getting a piece of tissue for her. As early as 2 years old, Emily and Amy were verbally and then physically abusive to Ryan and Lauren, which intensified as they grew older. They were both verbally and physically abusive to me. If I intervened in their verbal or physical abuse, they would turn on me. The abuse heaped on me and the children daily, but I will provide what history I can. Emily's parenting, if you could call it that, revolves around yelling, insulting, verbally abusing, hitting, pushing, pulling, and being emotionally abusive. When Ryan was 2 years old, Emily would hit Ryan in the head and arms. When Lauren was 3 years old, she wet the bed. Amy pulled her pants down and spanked her. If our children let Emily know that they enjoyed spending time with me or showed affection towards me, then Emily would put them in their room and yell at them until they assured her they would not show affection toward me. Emily is much more discreet than Amy because the yelling and physical discipline would happen in her bedroom. I would hear their yelling and crying. Our children learn Emily's rule is everything. When the children attended preschool at Turtle Rock Preschool, we were told of their concerns that Amy was rough with the children. Amy went to the school and created a scene even though she doesn't speak English. In 2020 and again in 2021, Ryan's teachers expressed concern about his behavior in the school and that they were overcommitted in extracurricular activities. Ryan's teacher, Ms. Ingrid, expressed concern that Ryan had ADHD and suggests that we get an evaluation. Emily and Amy got so mad at her that Amy started bad-mouthing Ms. Ingrid to other parents, and Emily ignored Ms. Ingrid entirely. Emily then withdrew both Lauren and Ryan from Irvine Village Montessori. Emily spoke on the telephone with Ryan's pediatrician and did not allow him to assess Ryan, but instead insisted that ADHD is overdiagnosed. Amy told Ryan that I was trying to get him diagnosed and given medication that would rot his brain. Both children now attend Pacific Academy, a Chinese immersion school. Ryan is starting to beat up other children, but Amy has explained away this behavior. They appear to be much more accepting of Amy's explanation that Ryan has high energy. When they get home, Amy yells at them, calls them stupid, and demands Ryan come up with better excuses for his bad behavior. When I try to discuss my meeting with Lauren's or Ryan's teachers, Emily and Amy complain that you just accept that. Didn't you give them a reason for the children's issues at school? Amy would repeatedly interrogate Lauren about an event. Emily would say, don't even bother, she's stupid like that. Amy would repeatedly call Lauren dumb. So there's a lot of this about the way that Emily parents and that she allows her mother to parent their children in the same way. Number 27, earlier this year, both kids were involved in a piano competition. While practicing piano, Emily kept calling Lauren effing stupid. Finally, Lauren cried and told Emily she can't say fucking, okay? Emily hit Lauren on the arm and told her she's fucking stupid. Amy came over and told Lauren that there are some words that only adults and not kids can say. So Emily is right to do what she is doing. he accuses her of using sleep deprivation with the kids and everything. And then we get to and alienation. It says here, Emily often uses sleep deprivation to punish Ryan and Lauren. When the kids fall asleep without her permission, even if after 11 p.m., she'd wake them up, demand that they go to her room, shut the door, and make them cry. At the end, sometimes she would tell the kids to get out and then slam the door behind them, making them cry outside her door. So 29, we get into the actual like Drano complaint, but I'm going to stop right here for a second, Ping, and just, if all this is going on with your wife, and this is also damaging to your children, and it's all true, you wait until she does something to you to report her?
Well, if we say to the reverse of this and it was a woman, and we'd say if a woman was trying to leave an abusive relationship and it's hard and they fail a lot or they don't know what to do, then it must be true in this situation with a man too.
It is. And I do have empathy, obviously, for women that are leaving an abusive situation. But they had so many interactions at school and stuff where you could drop a hint or something, and those people are mandated reporters.
I worry about these when we have people from an Asian heritage. Their life in the family unit is very different to ours, and I think
That's true.
the females in the family actually control a lot of the family structure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the men are supposed to, I think it's very similar to the old kind of, you know, our ways too, like the men go off and work and the women, you know, but I think it still continues on where the women of the family tend to be the home life decision makers. I don't know enough about I don't know fully enough about it to give a better comment than that.
Right.
But I have seen things on and off, you know, so that
No,
might explain some of the behavior here.
that's true. That's an interesting point. I hadn't really thought about it that way. Yeah, that gives me a new perspective because you're right, and they're a different culture, and you do see a lot of that in Asian families. You know,
Especially with the elderly, Amy, I've heard that they're like their family structures are a little different. When they grow up and have kids and that, they take the parents in a lot of the time into their home.
yeah, they
So
live.
the elderly people normally call the shots and things like that.
Yeah, they live in multi-generational homes. Yeah, definitely. And you hear terms like tiger mom and things like that that are more about, you know, pushing your kids to study hard, do well, to get good grades, to be well-rounded. And you do hear this here because you hear about the piano competition. You hear about the teacher saying, you know, your kid has way too many extracurricular activities, like all of that. So yeah, that makes sense. So number 29, they kind of get into it. He says, starting in March and April of 2022, I started noticing a chemical taste in my lemonade. Eventually, I developed symptoms that had me see the doctor, who performed an examination and diagnosed me with 2 stomach ulcers, gastritis, and esophagitis, inflammation of my esophagus. Based upon the diagnosis and my suspicions about the chemical taste, I put cameras in our kitchen. I obtained footage of Emily poisoning me on these 3 occasions. On May 12th, 2022, I took the children to our community tennis courts to play for less than half an hour. Emily came home while we were playing, and when she returned, took the kids into her room and made them cry. Since then, they have refused to go with me to play tennis without Emily's permission. That kind of skips around here. On May 31st, I took Ryan and Lauren to Lakewood to buy a new violin, and we drove past Long Beach. I wanted to show the kids the Queen Mary. We parked at the plaza, but Lauren refused to get out of the car to join Ryan and me to even take a picture. Lauren accused me of being a troublemaker, and when we got home, Emily took both children to her bedroom, shut the door, and made them cry. On July 13th, Emily was so unhappy with Ryan's piano playing that she kept yelling at him, calling him a fucking idiot. She yelled so loud and so close to Ryan that she was spitting on him and made him cry. In general, the kids are supposed to put on a happy face around Emily and Amy. They're not allowed to express their feelings, and even if they are feeling down, both Emily and Amy will yell at them saying, "You're so ugly, you look like a pig," or tell Ryan, "You are a sissy." Kids are not allowed to have much contact with friends. Amy would badmouth the kids' friends, and Emily would pack their schedule so there was no time for socialization or play dates. Amy and Emily also badmouth my own family, so the kids do not want to go to my family's functions. They have virtually no contact with their cousins. The kids are isolated in their own little bubble with only 4 family members. Of course, he lists them. I have to, protect myself, blah, blah, blah. These are his requests. I asked the court to issue domestic violence restraining orders against Emily to protect me and our children, Ryan and Lauren, keeping her away from their home, school, and activities, and give me protection and exclusive use over the family residence, their address. In the alternative, I asked the court to grant me sole legal and sole physical custody of Ryan and Lauren and grant me exclusive use of the family residence. These orders will allow me to protect myself as well as Lauren and Ryan from Emily's and Amy's abuse. What's interesting is I didn't find a request for order of protection for Amy. So it's got to be out there. So again, these are the photos. She's by the sink with the Drano. Let's see. And she's over by the table with the Drano. He's picking up the glass.
I don't like the photos of the monitor. I feel like if you had access to that system, you should be able to get a pure video file and do screen caps.
Yeah, I don't know why but they do have the video. I did check just so that everybody knows. The police do have the video in its entirety. Maybe he was just trying to get this filed. You know what I mean?
There is a lot of spelling mistakes in the document I noticed as you were scrolling through, so maybe he was rushing to get it done.
I think so.
So she would have a right at rebuttal to this as well now, right?
Yes, and her lawyer has said that this is all a setup, that she was simply unclogging the drain, that he is doing this because not only is he trying to destroy her with a divorce, but he wants sole custody of the children. I think the issue is, and like I'm just trying to see if there's any other picture here that we can see. I think the issue here is that she, according to the police, she is seen on video. He takes his drink to the table and he puts saran wrap on it and he leaves the room, and then she runs over there with the Drano, lifts the plastic, pours the Drano in it, puts the plastic back on, and then waits for him to come back in the room and drink it. I think that's the problem. I think they could probably...
Pretty damning, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they could probably, like in a lot of ways, like if you want to take, like if you just want to play devil's advocate and say, okay, I'm going to pretend like I'm her lawyer. I'm going to say, you just want a bunch of money and the kids in the house. And so you drink Drano on your own, just enough that wouldn't kill you. And you're going to blame your wife. And clearly she's unclogging drains. I think you have a very hard time when you have a woman removing a protective barrier off a glass, pouring it in there, and then watching you drink it. And you have it on video. You don't have it in pictures. You have it in video.
I also think he set up a nice explanation with the how she always tells the kids to come up with like fake excuses, and then she's come up with a bunch of fake excuses for her behavior for this. Mm-hmm. So it plays into each other really well.
It does. And I think there's also a good scenario for parental alienation by, taking those, punishing children for having a good time with their dad, and also diminishing their own father in front of them by like it would be like me saying to Chris, like, or saying to Bella and Christian, like, Bella, tell your dad to go polish my shoes. You know what I mean? Like have a child give you directives.
It's demeaning, and it's
It is.
stripping his masculinity from him too.
Well, it's a narcissistic technique, is what it is.
Yeah, a lot of the behavior that he demonstrated, if true in his complaint, is very troubling. It shows signs of a lot of things actually.
Yeah.
Some of it is Tiger Mum stuff, and it seems typical of some of the Tiger Mum things we've heard before, but
Hmm.
some of it goes way beyond that.
Yeah, I agree. I think, some of it is cultural, like you pointed out. And did I freeze up?
Look all right to me.
Okay. I think like some of it very much is cultural, like you had pointed out. Some of it, and I know that I just dropped it, and the word is heavily overused, but some of these tactics she's doing with the children are classic narcissistic parenting. Like they're on the checklist, so I'm not just like throwing it around. Like I'm not a doctor. I mean, I can't diagnose her. Um, doctors have trouble diagnosing narcissists anyway. But but they are. If you've ever had any sort of relationship or friendship with somebody that is a narcissist, these are the kind of things they do to manipulate the situation. And I think it's very, very sad that he's driving around to do some errands, like go get a new musical instrument, and he's like, oh, like let's pull off the road and see this boat, and the kids are just like, no, we're not going to do that. Like mom wouldn't let us do it. You're just a troublemaker. Like, Can you imagine your children talking to you like that?
I find it just disturbing that
And how hurtful
any
that would be?
person would want their kids to talk to their dad like that, or just anything like that with their dad. It's just horrible.
Yeah, it is so bad. So this is a case that you definitely want to kind of keep an eye on because um, it's interesting. I mean, it's not interesting because she's poisoning him, but it's. I think we're in an age where we're seeing men in abusive relationships being more open about it and more importantly being taken more serious, like it's taken more seriously. It's reported. um I do think it's sad that it has to. I'm still going to stand by that. I do think it's sad that it was his own life, literally his own mortality, that made him go to the police. But I guess I'm just glad he finally confronted it. And we'll have to see how this works out. I know that you had, when we were talking about the two Saudi women, and
Right.
that you had a little update. You and I were talking. You had said that there was a report that there was something left behind at the crime scene. Do you want to talk about like what you know so far? That's doesn't have to be anything from like yesterday, but I don't think we like really updated anybody.
Yeah, there's been a little bit of an update. The girls were found with the crucifixes on the floor, but
Mhm.
one of the other weird things is the girls complained of that male figure I told you guys about that they wanted the building management to look at the cameras for. Well, people in the building have said there was a man down in the lobby just hanging out there for hours and hours. Um,
Wow.
he when a person who lived there went and spoke to him and said, "Well, why are you here?" and "Oh, do you live here? What unit?" He said Unit 115, which was the girls' unit.
Right.
So it's a little weird, and people are not like, "Why was he there? Is that the guy they were scared of?" And it's a bit weird, but it's actually really quietened down in the last 5 to 6 days. The articles have stopped. And that's really weird because, like, last week there was a whole rush of them, and now they're kind of died off again.
Do you think it's going cold, or do you think that it's because? I mean, do you think the police are still investigating it, or I mean, what's your thought process on it? Is it
Oh, I think the police are still investigating.
yeah.
There was some other information that came out that said they had applied for asylum in
Right.
Australia, and that they had both been rejected from asylum. Now, I
Oh,
think it
wow.
had to do with the claims they made in their asylum applications that they didn't meet the thresholds, or they
Hmm.
didn't meet the thresholds of proof, maybe, because I think you have to provide a bit of proof when you claim asylum here, and maybe it didn't quite meet the threshold. One of the girls, I think, claimed that she was being like persecuted because she was gay, and I think the other one said she was trying to run away from an arranged marriage. But I think with both these things, you may have had to provide some sort of evidence that you were in deathly trouble if you went back.
Right. Right. And I know, I think you and I talked privately about this. I don't think we discussed it on the air that uh, could it have possibly been like an honor killing situation because of those reasons.
I if it's not a no longer living because of self actions,
Hmm.
I really see it. The whole bleach thing, the random male hanging around. Maybe that male was unhappy with their lifestyle because, as we've seen, some of these hardline people, I'm not going to say the religion, but some hardline people really don't like when people of their, same thing kind of veer off course. They don't like it if they don't, stick to the book. Um, so yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't hope anything because it's sad either way, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Hopefully we get news. That's what I hope. We get the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll have to keep on it. And they were sisters, right?
Yes, two sisters. Yep.
So that's the thing I think that bothers me a lot about this case. Like when you started talking about it, is um, sisters in a suicide pact. Um, Women don't typically do things like drink bleach. They just don't do anything
It's
that's
very
like,
rare.
yeah, it's very, very rare. And I think it would be rare for two sisters to not be together while they were doing that. I think like I could see two sisters like lying in bed together doing it, but
But
not,
in separate bedrooms is a little strange.
yeah. And that there's a religious token by the bed, or something like that. That's just a little, so it's concerning. It doesn't seem like, I don't want to say normal. Normal's not the right word, but that it's something benign.
The whole thing seems off. The thing where the police came to their house for a welfare check and that they huddled in a corner afraid, that
Hmm.
that strikes me as weird too. If
Yeah.
they were free and knew they were free in a safe country and the police were nice here, I don't understand why they acted in that manner unless there's someone around that's controlling them. Like, I mean, they could have some sort of shared psychological issue. I don't know, but I mean, we have seen that in Sisters before. You know that folie à deux or whatever, that
Hmm.
French one, where it's
Hmm.
like shared psychosis.
Hmm.
Maybe something like that. I don't know, but that's even more rarer than what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
I
So
mean,
I don't know.
that's definitely a possibility, but I was just thinking, and this is far fetched too. Like, really, what if the guy really did live there, and they didn't have him on the lease because they didn't want a trace of him, or he wasn't supposed to be there, or or anything like that. And then when they did the welfare check, he was there, or he was present somehow, and it was all intimidation. Maybe they knew something about him. Maybe he, do you know what I mean? Could it be something like that?
He could have been in a cupboard hiding, and maybe that's why they were afraid because they knew as soon as the police left, if they said anything, like they would get beaten or something. I don't know, but I don't know. I
That's,
think we need more information about this, and I think some more clarity from the police once they understand the whole situation would be nice.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, Heather and Oz says they may have worried the police were going to take them to be deported. Yeah, that's. I mean,
I
that's,
thought maybe they killed them. Maybe they, stopped living by voluntary actions because they knew their asylum application had been rejected and they didn't want to go back. I thought maybe that could be the reason for it.
yeah. That would be a good reason. Yeah, because it's either I kill myself or they kill me.
Right, and I think they really were afraid to go back. It sounds like they had some genuine, because they had denounced their original religion, and I think either both of them or one of them had identified as atheist. So, but then that's weird about the crucifixes. If they identified as atheists, why do they now have crucifixes? It's a bit weird.
Well, could that be a final fuck you by somebody that did it?
Like, yeah, like an honor killing, just saying like, here you're gonna die with a cross.
Mm-hmm.
Could
Yeah.
be.
I mean, yeah, I don't think it's nice, but I think that like that would be why somebody would do something like that. It would be like, oh, you don't think this exists, you don't believe it or whatever, and then they kill you, and they're like, here you go.
I want to know more about the male in the lobby. I want to
Yeah.
know what that's about because one, if it's a secure apartment, how did he get in there? And
Right.
two, how did he know the girl's number of their apartment?
Mm.
And three, why did the girls think their food was being tampered with? If they were poisoning themselves with bleach, they wouldn't care that their food was being tampered with because they're trying to achieve that goal anyway.
Yeah. Well,
So why were they so afraid of their food being tampered with?
so talk about that because it's been a while. What's explain their concern about their food being tampered with?
So they had been getting like Uber Eats deliveries, like takeout deliveries to their apartment, and they had been complaining to building management that they thought their food had been tampered with.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much more information other than that, but
Right.
that's very strange. If you're on that path of, drinking bleach every day or whatever,
Right.
you wouldn't care. You'd be like, yeah, give me more.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
so that doesn't make sense. It shows they actually had concern for their own health.
Right.
So it's a bit weird.
Yeah. Berserker Loki says whatever they were hiding from must have been horrific. Yeah, it sounds like it. I hope this isn't dropped. I hope this is pursued and um, followed up on by authorities because it doesn't something just doesn't sound right. It sounds a little hinky and
I suspect they're going to call for an inquest at some point, and they're
Mhm.
going to do a coronial inquest and look at how those deaths occurred and call witnesses.
Yeah, they need to. They need to. All right, you got anything else for the night?
I think we're done for the night. I hope that you go on and do another update about that girl on your channel soon because it looks like it's heating up.
Yeah, I am. I am. Yeah, Kylie Rodney, who's missing out of Truckee, California. Yeah, it is. It is a big, big case. It's it has consumed me. I told you I kind of don't feel good tonight. Um, I had been up every single night researching on different things, and another case too that I'm working on. But I get like this. I mean, they consume me, and I can't stop. And every little thing I see or hear, I have to the best of my capacities, verify it, fact check it, or whatever. And I don't want people to think that like I go real life because they don't. It's just that I know it's someone's life. I definitely get that emotional connection, and I've spoken about it before. Like there are cases that we talked about where, like, I hope I never have to see it again because sometimes I was upset for the mother, and sometimes I was so like I was angry like the father, and sometimes I was scared like the kid that got murdered, like literally like I would put myself in that child's place and watch somebody that was supposed to be caring for me like look up and kill me. I don't It's hard to explain. I kind of do that when I'm thinking about these cases, and so it'll affect me, emotionally. But it's important I tell you that because the obsession with it becomes like a puzzle, and I can't let it go because I
Because you
want
don't have the answer.
right. Hmm. And yeah, so I've been up a lot trying to work on that, and also trying to be true to, like, who I am and what I want to be, not talking to other people about it, not getting those. And I'm not saying they're not true. I'm not saying that there aren't people that are friends with her reaching out to me or things like that, but I'm not really interested in that. And so,
I
um,
think it's more interesting that Adventures with Purpose put out that video yesterday. It's very different tact from what they normally do. I thought it was very interesting that they actually did a formal video saying that they were joining the hunt and saying that they were actually requested to come in. I
mhm,
mean, that's very different from what they normally do. They normally deal with very cold cases, and for them to be called upon to come in on a hot crime, um, yeah, very interesting. I think if there's no resolution by the weekend, this may go into overdrive by next week.
yeah. Well, I think Adventures with Purpose is becoming a lot like Texas Equisearch in a way. Um, so it would make sense, and they've always kind of been on social media. It's a YouTube channel, right? Um, and so that part makes sense. Um, and they are very beloved and they do good work. So when I say this, I do not mean it with any disrespect at all. Okay. I believe that the YouTube video is different because maybe there's a shift. This is really going to put them in a spotlight in front of a lot of people that do not know who they are or what they do. And because it is a high profile, active case. Does that make sense?
I see where you're going with it. I'm not sure. I know Jared and the rest of the team have rejected offers before to come in on hot cases. There must be something here that's different that they felt that because they won't go unless they actually feel like they
Mm-hmm.
can be of use. They won't do it for the publicity. I don't think they're like that. So then they must have been told some bit of information that
Wait,
they've come in for.
yeah. But I want to be clear. I don't think it's because of just because of publicity. Like they survive on. Well, maybe I do mean publicity, but I don't mean it in a derogatory, like attention-seeking way or self-serving way. The
It
money,
furthers their cause type thing.
yes, they survive on donations. So the more that they're out there, the more opportunity they'll have to, they have their wish list of equipment that they would like, and I'm sure they'd like other teams and other backup and more administrative help and all of that stuff. And so they would be any type, whether it's a business or a foundation or whatever you want to call it, when you have an opportunity like this and you're called in and it's high profile, the number one thing is, going out and doing the best job possible to go find whatever you're supposed to be finding, right? But because that's the mission. But in order to continue to do the work they do, they also have responsibilities to the missions or to the opportunities. And so you're gonna have to kind of put that out.
Oh, if there's anyone ever who understands the business side of YouTube, it's me.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
uh, I just found it a little weird. Because I've been watching this stuff for years, and I've heard Jared say heaps of times how they've turned down multi-million-dollar TV deals, and they had an offer from I think one of the really big true crime networks to have their own TV show, and they turned it down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think it's a little weird. There must be something. I reckon we'll find out later on, maybe, but
Well,
there must be a tip there that they think they can be useful. That's all I mean.
yeah, probably, but also, yeah, but also they did it on their own YouTube channel, right? So
Yeah,
I
because I
can
think they have more control over
That's
that.
exactly what I was going to say. I could totally see them getting offers, and I could totally see them turning down because it's like, wait, we're here to actually look for people. We're not here to give you clips and sound bites and reactions. And hey, can you know, accidentally fall off the boat with your ham sandwich today? Because that would be good for you. Know what I mean? Like
Well,
they,
apparently they tried it last year. Not they didn't try filming a TV show, but they tried doing some of the elements that they had been told about how they work. And
Mhm,
I don't know if you've ever watched some of their episodes from a year or two ago where they sit down with the family, they hold the lady's hand, and they're like, "We're here for you." And
mhm.
apparently, like they did that for a little bit, and then when they rewatched it, they didn't like it. They're like, "That's not who
Yes,
we are." And
right,
apparently, they were saying the TV shows were going to want 6 to 9 days for one episode, and in the one place. And they're like, "Well, we could do like 5 families in that time across, one state." So
right. That's why I said, like, with with all respect to everything and what I just said, like I know they do good work, and I think that their primary concern is doing the good work, and the opportunities have already been there. They'll continue to come. They don't seem to be interested right now because they work with integrity, and they like as many things as they can do and do successfully. They want to do that, and they don't want to be held up by a paycheck or somebody telling them what to do. But on the other hand, when they have the opportunity to put themselves out there, it's a chance to introduce. They're being introduced to a whole new audience right now. So I would expect that they would do that video. Um,
Heather, I don't know. They in their video they say they're not disclosing who called them to come in. It could be the parents, it could be a legal agency, could be a you know law enforcement agency, it could be the FBI. Who knows?
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I will be back with some Carly Rodney talk and whatever. I just I
Give
always
you a couple of days to calm
yeah.
down.
Well, you and I haven't really talked about this that much, and so I'm always kind of uncomfortable um talking about what I might do on the other channel. You know what I
You can
mean?
do that. It's fine. I don't mind.
Well, I just want to, I mean, you're my other half. You're my pouch meat, and I don't want to be over here like, oh, on this channel, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I didn't feel like it
That's
was
all right.
appropriate, and we haven't had a conversation, so that's why I hadn't,
That's
like
all right. Go for it. If people want to go watch it, I think it would be good because it's an interesting case. I hope they find it before the weekend, and then we can all go, "Oh, it's
no,
over, and she's alive, and she's back with her parents, and she
no,
just got lost somewhere."
I know, I know. I have so many conflicting emotions and theories about this. It's and as long as we're talking about it, and then I'll wrap it up. But I kind of got so when I did my video the other night, I kind of got some pushback. Some people said the minute you said that the reason this case was one, because I said there's two reasons this case is really big. And the first reason I said, the reason Kylie Rodney is all over the place is because she's a beautiful young white female. And I had a lot of people say, the minute you said that, I didn't want to watch your video anymore. And that's fine. I understand. I wish they would have stuck around and reason I say that is because there are so many missing women and men, and then we can split them into indigenous people and African American people and Pacific Islanders, and you know what I'm saying? They
Oh,
do
I get it.
they do, and I don't, and I wish they would have stuck around to hear me say I don't want them taking any of the manpower from fighting for finding Kylie. That's not what I want. I just wish that every missing person had that kind of traction. And then the second reason why it's popular is because these parties are a rite of passage. And whether we're 82 or we're 14, we can relate to the experience of either going to a party or hearing about a party. And so if we can relate, we can imagine ourselves there, then we tend to be more interested because we feel like we have a connection. That's the connection.
I
But
always think it's sometimes it's the person. A lot of times it's the story leading up to them going missing. That's why certain cases catch on and go wildfire, and then some of them just
sure,
fizzle out. I think hers is interesting because of the party aspect, because everyone's like, "Oh, she was at a party. What was she doing there?" And um, I think we've all been to parties as teenagers and done dumb things like walked home at 3 a.m.
sure.
or taken lifts with people we don't know, and
Hmm?
uh, someone's gone, "Hey, let's go to this other party on the other side of town. It's way better," and we've all gone, and then ended up like 2 hours from home, no way home and stuff. And
And nobody really knows whose party it is, or
yep, I think we've all done stuff like that growing up. So
yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. People relate with the party bit of it, and I don't know. Hopefully they find her. I think it's interesting that there's a few things interesting with that case right now. I think from my little bit of research, there's definitely some angles I think they're looking at.
Yeah, I think you're right. I have um I'm not sure when it will be. I had originally wanted to do it today. I'll tell you this. So I was gonna do an update today before our show. And I was getting some things together, and then Chris came up from work, and I walked downstairs from my office, and I was like, "Hey, like, what do you want to do for dinner? Because I don't have a lot of stuff here, but this is what I could make." Because a lot of times, like, I'll eat something that like would be just fine for me, but he doesn't like consider it dinner, right? And so ultimately he said, "Oh, well, are you doing a show tonight?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, why don't we just go out and get something?" So I was like, "All right," because we had plenty of time. And then it turned into, "Well, why don't we just go get takeout?" And so this takeout that was supposed to take me like 20 minutes to get there and 20 minutes to get back was a 3.5 hour fiasco.
Oh
So,
wow, that is a long time just for some food.
yeah, it was the most ridiculous thing. And I was in my car, and I was like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I was mad, and then I was anxious because I was like, I want to do my show. And I was like starting to get like upset, and I was getting mad about the food, and I was just mad about the whole situation. And then I mean, because I'll tell you guys, I scheduled this like normally it'd be going at 9:20. I needed those extra 20 minutes to get what I needed done. And I texted you right at like what 9:35,
Something like that, yeah.
and I said, "Oh, I need another 5 minutes. Like, can you?" I'm so sorry. So yeah, it's just how it works around here. Sometimes I'm trying to get. I think I learned a valuable lesson today. It's like no matter like what the situation is or what, if I want, I this is important to me. Like doing these shows are important, and being a good like partner for you is important to me, and my other channel is very important to me. And so maybe I've just kind of put off this air that it's like, oh well, it's just YouTube. I don't get anything financially from it, or all it, or maybe I make jokes like, oh, does this cost me money, or something like that around people in my life. And so like they don't really respect it, and they don't think it's like a big deal for me to like stop working and go do something like that. And it's just because I don't have angles in my life. I have wonderful, the people that are physically around me are so supportive and so kind and so loving and only want what good things for me and what I want. So I think maybe it's me downplaying it and then maybe playing like a martyr about it. Does that make sense?
It does. I got a solution though. Just wear a suit when you have to do YouTube and then tell people it's work and be like, look, I'm wearing a suit. It's work.
Or I could put on my hat. Isn't that my hat? Isn't that
Business Amy hat.
business Amy hat? Yeah. I have to tell you, I'm so distracted while I'm totally paying attention, but it's killing me. I found this bag tonight. I don't know if you can see this. Like I want.
are they little pezzers?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't just like find. Just so you guys know, I didn't like find it in the trash or anything. Like,
It's the lollies no one likes, but everyone loves the toy.
yeah. It's like all this stuff that was like leftover Easter basket stuff that I'd put up in my office. But I mean, I have like I have all these Easter pencils and like
How expensive are Pez now too? Like they used to be like $1 or $2, and now they're like $6.
oh, should I sell it?
I don't know about an Easter bunny one, but some of the old ones are worth a lot of money.
Yeah, I found those. And then what else did I find? Because I was cleaning out my my desk and I have a junk drawer. Yeah, I found some stickers.
Some people have junk drawers. Some people have junk like rooms.
Yeah. And then I found a whole, I forgot, I mean, I didn't forget I had these. I just haven't seen them in a long time. These are Valentine's Day cards, but they were my grandmother's who is deceased, from when she was a little girl in elementary school. And they have all these, like, I have a pile of them. So
Wow, I can't believe how like they're not tarnished or yellow or anything. Being in Florida.
no, she had them in like a plastic. Gosh, this one still has the manufacturer thing on it. Yeah, she had them in a like a plastic box since they didn't get any damage, and then I've kept them. I've been trying to figure out like what I could do with them without like ruining them, because I don't believe in keeping things if you can't look at them every day and appreciate them. And
I
so,
think a nice collage in a frame of them would look really cool.
yeah, I might do something like that. And I have her like, yeah, I found a bunch of stuff tonight that, like I said, I knew I had, but oh, and I found this too. I was going to actually ask you. I'll just save time. I know I'm boring our listeners, but this is some sort of USB on a keychain thing that I got like probably at a trade show. Is that like trash now?
Oh, sorry. Hold it a bit closer so I can read the words.
Okay, hold on.
I think it's. Oh, it's just a magnet lock one. Okay. Oh, okay. It's interesting. No, I think it's a good one. You could probably use it.
So what do you do with it?
I'm not sure. It says it has a magnet lock and it has a charge and sync.
Yeah, it doesn't tell you. It says
A
useful.
secure, a USB maybe?
It says thanks to its magnetic closure, you can snap it onto your key ring and carry it with you every day. Compatible with nearly all the devices out there. It doesn't tell you what it does.
How many gigabyte is it?
It's not. It says it's a charge and sync.
Oh, maybe it's like a little battery.
Oh, okay. iPhone plus micro USB plus USB-C. I don't know.
Yeah, they're for different phone ports. Maybe it's a little battery.
It's weird.
I wonder if it's like a little recharge. You can plug it into your phone and charge your phone.
It just gives it a little juice.
Yeah.
It's like a defib for your phone, like clear.
I need 1% to get home and turn the torch on at the door.
Yeah. Anyway, enough of the show and tell. Oh, and I found this too. So this was trade show stuff. Like it's a little measuring thing on a chain.
Oh my god, I love those.
Are you really?
Yeah, I love those little tape measures. I'm sitting on a tape measure right now because I've been measuring curtains this morning.
I was like, you're sitting on a tape measure. I don't. You're measuring curtains?
Yeah, I got to do curtains, and I'm doing a new rug, which is like 4 feet wide by like 8 feet long or something. So.
Ooh, you're a grown up. Those are big and expensive.
I had a joke for you the other day, and I was like, "How do you know you're getting old?" And it's when you start loving housewares. You're like, anything housewares, you're like, oh, I could get a rug or I could get like a lamp. And you're like, oh man, I'm getting old.
I know. Sometimes I say things that are true that don't put me in the best light, but it's okay because like it happened. So I agree with you on that. And I got married during COVID. and we've always said that, we'd have a reception or something like later. We didn't even have a witness because we weren't allowed to. We just couldn't wait any longer. It was like, because you don't know we didn't know what was going to end.
Were you waiting for marriage, and that's why you couldn't wait any longer?
That's exactly what it was. I was like, Chris, my virginity. Yeah, no. Bad. But anyway, yeah, so we didn't even have, a witness. Like, my mom listened on the phone, and they didn't even want phones recording or anything in there. But, we got past it, so she listened. Anyway, it's my first marriage, and like, we were in the kitchen. It was only a couple months ago, and like, I don't have a nice, like, I know it's stupid, but I don't have a nice salad bowl. Okay, I just don't. And I thought I had a nice salad bowl at one point until I unfortunately saw on the bottom of it, thank God we all lived, that it contained, I think it says it contains lead or something, and it's not food safe. But I had, like,
Oh, it's like one of those old Limelight crystal ones.
Yeah. So yeah, that's no bueno. Nobody's blind or anything, so we
No one's glowing in the dark, not yet.
Yeah. But oh god, I wish I could glow in the dark. That'd be funny. But anyway, but not, yeah. Don't say things like that. It gets distracted. Anyway, I don't have a nice salad bowl, so I'm like in there, and Chris is like, just pick out one from Amazon, I guess. And I was like, no, you know what? I'm like, I got married, and I'm like, and I don't have this stuff, because when you're single, like, unless you're like a cooker, or you like bought a house and you settled down and you were like, I'm going to be here for the rest of my life or whatever, like, you don't have all this stuff. And I didn't get any presents, and I'm really mad about it. He's like, seriously? He's like, every Christmas, every birthday, he's like, every Mother's Day, every day that like somebody could get you something, you go, I don't need anything. Please don't get me anything. And I do mean that. Like, most of the time I'm like, Chris, like, don't get me anything. I'm like, don't get me something just to, to get me something. I don't need, presents don't prove that you love somebody, like that kind of stuff. But yeah, I am a little salty about the no wedding gifts, because I feel like there's a lot of cool, like, home stuff out there, and I don't want to spend.
You wanted a Thermomix, didn't you? You just wanted someone to buy one.
A Thermomix? What's that?
Oh, you never seen one of those things? It's like a blender, and it cooks stuff, and it's like
What?
a blender with a heating thing in it, and it can cook food as well.
Stop. No. Well, probably haven't seen that, because I don't like gadgets, because I don't like to have to pull things apart and clean them like that. Like, the other night we used a food processor to make salsa. But that sounds fascinating. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to have some like really nice kitchen, like a nice set. You know what I mean? Like, I won't go buy it for myself, or a nice set of dishes. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel
one
like,
of the hardest things you can buy, Amy, is cutlery. Have you ever gone looking for cutlery?
yes,
It is the biggest pain in the ass, because a lot of the stuff that's in a reasonable price range looks like shit. And a lot of the stuff that actually looks decent is like $600. And you're like, is there no in between here? There's no like, it looks like it's made out of tin, or it actually has some weight to it for 600. We were
yes.
lucky. We found a place that had run out stock of Vera Wang cutlery, and we got two I think it's like 224 packs for like $80. So we've got fancy Vera Wang cutlery.
Ooh, you're so bougie. Yeah, I think Chris and I have like a mismatch set, and then I think I bought something like mid-range. And anybody that knows, if you live with teenagers, like, I don't know what they do with your silverware. I really don't. I've never
can't have
seen.
nice silverware with teenagers, because what they do is they'll eat ice cream, leave the spoon in the ice cream, and just throw the container out.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. Oh, I swear, like, what was it? The other night we had chili, and one of them didn't rinse off the spoon before they put it in the dishwasher, and there was like cheese on it. I soaked that spoon. I used the Dawn Power Wash. I took a little bit of like grainy detergent and soaked it, like made a paste, all this stuff. I took like a screwdriver and try to get that cheese off, but I was like, I'm down to 3 soup spoons. I'm not losing another one. I will clean this. I clean that thing.
You soak it in hot water and then do it because it'll loosen the cheese.
No, all my normal tricks didn't work. No, the hot water didn't work. This was like Gorilla Glue cheese or something. I don't know what was going on. I just, and then every day Chris would walk by and he's like, still working on that spoon? And I'm like, I'm going to get it. And he's like, all right. Just, like, I'm getting obsessed about stuff. And I was so happy tonight that I got it off and I ran over to him and he was like, okay. I'm like, no, but look. And he's like, you're so weird.
You're lucky it wasn't silver plated or something because like all the covering probably would have come off.
Oh my God, it was crazy. I was, my next thing was like, I'll cover it with honey and stick it on an ant pile. And the ant pile will rush to the honey and gnaw the cheese as a little treat underneath.
It's got a hard, not gooey center.
It's like a reverse Tootsie Pop or something. I don't know. But anyway, on that note, I'm starting to get
a bit floofy. We should shut for the night.
Floopy. So, okay, good night, Ping. Good night, everybody. We'll see you Thursday.
Good night.
Bye-bye.